In a deposition in New York, did you know that there's a big difference between objection, irrelevant, and objection, palpably improper? Would you like to learn what those differences are? Come join me, I'll tell you. Hi, I'm Jerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury trial attorney practicing law here in the state of New York. First, a deposition is a question and answer session given under oath. It's pretrial testimony given in the attorney's office. Now, during the course of questioning a witness, I will have the opportunity to ask them a whole series of questions. And if their lawyer believes that my question is not appropriate, they will often yell out, "Objection, irrelevant." Now, when an attorney says that, the witness is still required to answer the question. And why do they do that? They do that, number one, to preserve their objection, because if this issue has to go up on appeal, they've now notified everybody that they object to that particular question and to the answer. As we get to trial, the judge will still have to make a decision as to whether or not, one, the question is appropriate, and two, whether the witness can go ahead and answer it. Now, let's say that I ask a question and all of a sudden you hear, "Objection, palpably irrelevant, don't answer the question." In that instance, the witness is directed not to answer the question. Why? Because the attorney feels that the question and the answer has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the claims being made in the case or the defense. Let me give you a perfect example. Let's say I represent an individual who was going through an intersection and we believe the driver of the other car went through a red light. You suffered a fractured spine and now you're paralyzed. During the course of the question and answer session, when I get to question the witness, the driver who caused your injuries, I now ask them a series of questions. So let's say I ask them a question about whether or not they were ever involved in a prior car accident before this one. Objection, irrelevant. Now the witness still has to answer that question. Now the attorney has preserved that objection for trial, and the judge will then make a decision at trial as to whether or not that's an appropriate question and answer. Let's say instead, the witness I'm now questioning, I turn to that witness and say, "Sir, isn't it a fact that you beat your wife every single night?" "Objection, palpably improper, don't answer the question." Now in that instance, whether or not the witness beats his wife every single day has nothing to do with the claims that we're making in the case, or whether or not he was careless at the time. Has nothing to do with the injuries or the damages that we're claiming. And in that instance, the attorney would be well within their right to object and say, "Palpably improper, it's got nothing to do with this case, don't answer the question." Now there are instances during this type of deposition, this pretrial testimony, where the attorneys will disagree as to whether or not something has to be answered or not. In that instance, we may call the court to ask them to intervene. In some cases, the court will allow us to get an answer, a verbal answer. Other instances, the court will say, "You know what, I want everything put down on paper so that each side can appeal if they feel the need based upon whatever decision I render." So that's the key distinction between objection, irrelevant, and objection, palpably improper. So why do I tell you about this? I tell you about this just to give you an insight and an understanding into the litigation process and to what goes on in a pretrial deposition in New York. Chances are you have questions, you have concerns about what's going on with your particular matter, or you're contemplating bringing a case and want to learn more. Well, what I encourage you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I answer legal questions like yours every single day. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at lawmed10@yahoo.com. I'm Jerry Oginski here in New York. Thanks so much for watching.